Most Australians are working harder than ever, yet somehow ending each month with less. The average household is now carrying over $313,000 in debt. Credit cards are creeping back up, and inflation sits at 4% while wages struggle to keep pace. So if you're going to spend money, and let's be honest, you are, then there are 8 things worth buying before anything else. Because the truth is, most people spend on things that drain them, when a small shift in order could change everything. Let's start with the first one, and it might sound too simple, but hear me out. Buy yourself a proper buffer in your everyday account. The reason this matters is because life throws small chaos at you constantly. A dentist bill, a flat tire, a vet visit. When you don't have that buffer, every small event turns into a credit card swipe, and that swipe turns into 22% interest that follows you for months. So before you buy anything else, buy peace of mind in the form of a small, unglamorous buffer. A good target for most Australians is somewhere between $1,500 and $2,500 sitting in your transaction account. Think of it as the shock absorber between your life and your long-term plan. Without it, every bump in the road cracks the chassis. With it, you barely feel the road at all. The second thing to buy is a real emergency fund, and this is different from the buffer. MoneySmart and most Australian advisors recommend 3 to 6 months of living expenses, held somewhere separate, ideally in a high-interest savings account earning around 5%. The reason this comes second is because a job loss, a health scare, or a relationship breakdown can wipe out a decade of progress in weeks. People who have this fund make better decisions. They don't panic sell investments. They don't take the first job offered out of desperation. Buying yourself that runway is one of the highest returns your money will ever deliver, even if the return doesn't show up on a spreadsheet. And here's the part most people miss. The emergency fund isn't just about money. It's about time. Time to think, time to grieve, time to plan the next move without a landlord or a lender breathing down your neck. Australians with 6 months of expenses saved report dramatically lower stress and dramatically better career outcomes because they can say no to the wrong opportunities and yes to the right ones. The third thing worth buying is a plan to demolish any debt sitting above 8% interest. Credit cards, personal loans, buy now, pay later balances that have rolled into fees, car loans with rates you accepted without reading. The average Australian is carrying around $3,300 in credit card debt and $8,000 in personal loans, and the interest on those is eating returns you haven't even earned yet. Before you invest a single dollar into shares or crypto or property, pay down the high interest stuff. This isn't glamorous, but it's the fastest legal wealth building move available to most Australians right now. The maths is simple, and it's brutal. If your credit card charges 20% and the share market returns 8% on average, then every dollar sitting in debt is losing you 12% a year, guaranteed. There's no fund manager on earth who can beat the return of paying off high interest debt. It's the only investment where the outcome is certain the moment you make the payment. Now, the fourth thing, and this is where people get uncomfortable, buy insurance you actually understand. Real income protection, real life cover if people depend on you, and health cover that matches your actual life. Most Australians are underinsured or hold policies they've never read. And insurance is one of those things that feels like wasted money until the day it becomes the only money that matters. A single serious illness in your 30s or 40s without income protection can undo everything you've built. So spend an hour reviewing what you have, and if there are gaps, close them. It's one of the most adult purchases you'll ever make. The fifth thing is the one almost no one buys until it's too late. Buy a will and an enduring power of attorney. In Australia, you can set both up for a few $100s or free through some state trustee services. Yet more than half of Australian adults don't have one. And when something happens, the people you love are left dealing with legal chaos on top of grief. If you have kids, if you own anything, if you share a life with someone, this is not optional. It's one of the cheapest, most loving purchases you will ever make. And the fact that it feels uncomfortable to think about is exactly why so few people do it. And a power of attorney matters just as much as the will itself. If you're ever incapacitated, even temporarily, someone needs the legal authority to pay your bills, manage your mortgage, and make medical decisions on your behalf. Without that document, your family may need to go to court just to access your own bank account. A few hours of paperwork now can save the people you love months of pain later. The sixth thing to buy is a boost to your superannuation. The super guarantee is now 12% from July 2025, which is great, but for most Australians, it still won't be enough for the retirement they're picturing. Salary sacrificing an extra $50 or $100 a fortnight, especially in your 30s and 40s, can add hundreds of thousands to your final balance thanks to compounding and the 15% concessional tax rate. It's one of the few places in the Australian system where the government genuinely rewards you for planning ahead. Before you buy the next upgrade, the next gadget, the next thing that will feel old in 6 months, buy yourself more freedom at 60. The seventh thing to buy is a simple, diversified investment you can actually stick with. For most Australians, that means a low-cost ETF or two, something like a broad Australian shares fund and a global shares fund, held inside a brokerage account you check rarely. The mistake people make is waiting until they feel ready or trying to pick the perfect moment. There is no perfect moment. There is only time in the market, and every year you delay costs you more than the year before because of compounding. You don't need to be clever here. You just need to be consistent. Automate a modest amount each payday and let 10, 20, 30 years do the work no clever trade ever will. And the eighth thing, and this one might surprise you, is skills. Buy skills. A course, a certification, a book, a coach, a mentor. The single biggest asset most people have isn't their house or their super, it's their ability to earn. And that ability is a muscle. It grows when you invest in it. A $500 course that leads to a $10,000 pay rise pays for itself in weeks and then keeps paying you for the rest of your career. Whether it's learning to negotiate, learning a trade, learning to code, learning to sell, learning to lead, spending on your own capacity is almost always the highest return investment available to you. And unlike every other asset on this list, this one compounds inside you. A skill you build at 30 keeps paying dividends at 40, 50, and 60. It travels with you across jobs, industries, and economies. It can't be taxed, repossessed, or wiped out by a market crash. In a country where the cost of living keeps rising, the ability to increase your income is often more powerful than any budget you'll ever build. Now here's something worth sitting with for a moment. The order of these 8 purchases matters just as much as the purchases themselves. Skipping the buffer to chase ETF returns is how people end up selling investments at the worst possible time to cover a car repair. Skipping insurance to pay down debt faster is how one bad diagnosis undoes 5 years of discipline. Skipping the will because it feels morbid is how families end up in the Supreme Court instead of at the funeral. Each of these builds on the one before it, like foundations before walls, walls before a roof. And the beautiful part is, none of them require a huge income to begin. If this helped you see things more clearly, do me a favor and hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next one.